And they said, when will this guy learn to stop betting against the Detroit Lions? I don't know. Stick around, see what we do with the Lions this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. In all seriousness, what's going on, everybody? We got picks for 14 games this week, and it's a really good one. I think you could see some pretty significant upset spots and, maybe even some more like Saints type of situations from last week. We're going to dive into all of it. Picks for every game in week 11, getting started right now. Yo, Dave Loughy here on Twitter at Loughy_D. Hit your boy up if you haven't done so yet and help me feed the algorithm. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It goes a really long way for us. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you. If you think maybe this helped you along the way, those little things go even further. And leave a comment down below. Let me know your favorite plays, your best picks for week 11. Let's get straight into it with the Commanders and the Eagles. Eagles laying 3.5, 48.5 point total in Philadelphia. Great game. What a fun Thursday night football game. 7-2 Eagles against the 7-3 Commanders in Philly at the Link. It's also a kind of tough game to figure out. I'll tell you what, we were on that Pittsburgh money line last week, right? And it ended up, we won, but it ended up being a real nail biter when it never should have been at all. Like, had James Pierre, we all know about the fabled James Pierre, right? Had he not totally botched that fake punt, had Jalen Warren not fumbled at the 1 yard line, really like the 1 inch line, that game would have been over. Like, the Steelers would have run away with that game. Now, credit the Commanders. They're a good football team. They made Pittsburgh pay for their mistakes. It was a 1-point game in the end, and that's football. But this is a tough test for them, for sure. Like, the Eagles secondary has been dominant lately. They haven't faced the greatest quarterbacks down across the board. I mean, they did shut down Joe Burrow in Cincy. They haven't faced the best quarterbacks, but I'll tell you this much. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they've made a big difference, and it took these guys a while to get going. DeJean missed most of the summer. Vic Fangio, new coordinator there, he's got these guys absolutely humming. Not to mention, they can get to the quarterback too. So when you've got tight coverage and you give these guys, these rushers, some time to get to the quarterback, it could end up being a long day for opposing passers. But it's difficult because, you look at this across the board, and I think I still have to go with the veteran quarterback here. The more complete team with Philly on both sides of the ball. As impressive as the Commanders have been, I take nothing away from them here, but we got to take one side, right? That's why this is called picks for every game. As impressive as the Commanders have been, especially, like, no doubt they've been impressive for a team, given the expectations they had coming into the year. It's tough for me to back them in this spot. Now, this is what I'd say. I do a video every Thursday and every Monday for Thursday Night Football, then for Monday, where I'm giving you sides, more in-depth analysis on the game, props and touchdowns, long shots, all that good stuff. So tune in. Comes out around 11 Eastern. We might want to wait for this game to move to 3. I think that's a possibility. And if it does, I would like Philadelphia even more. But right now, you lean Philly 3.5. Let's see if we can get this to 3. I don't think it moves any further in the opposite direction. Ravens and the Steelers. God, I told you we got good games this week, right? If you don't love an AFC North battle, then what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, seriously. These are just great spots all the time. We saw Cincy and Baltimore last week, 10 total touchdowns, which, by the way, netted us $100 in bonus bets on Bet365. I told you guys that's a cash cow this year. It's a cash cow. Also, we won the parlay. So we had a massive profit, even if we lost the parlay, but we won it, and $100 in bonus bets. You can't, if you're in any of these states on the screen, you're getting $150 in bonus bets when you sign up. The link is in the description in the pinned comment if you wanted to do so. You're getting $150 just for depositing 10, betting 5. The moment that settles, even if you were to bet it on a live game, the moment that $5 bet settles, you have $150 in bonus bets. But every Thursday, they're giving us $10 in bonus bets for every touchdown scored. We've racked up over $400 in bonus bets since the start of October just by betting the same game parlay qualification, 3+ legs, even money odds every single week. It's a cash cow. And we've had a whole lot of fun doing it with the Thursday videos. So come join us. Sign up at Bet365. Link is down there, like I said. Get your bonus bets. Join in the Thursday action. We've had a great time, and we're going to keep doing it and milking our way to another big profit, win or lose. But, man, Baltimore is one of those teams where if you want to talk about, like, there were some spots that I admittedly nailed last week, okay? Got a lot of hate for the Detroit spot against Houston. We covered with Houston. Got a lot of hate for the Saints a lot talking about that dead cat bounce. They didn't just cover, they won outright, right? A lot of the, how about another one? The Broncos. Got to bet against Mahomes as a big favorite. It's just what we do around here. And they should have lost that game. The Chiefs should have lost that game. They got black magic working with them or something. I don't know what it is. But I couldn't have been more wrong. See, look, I'm honest on this show. I couldn't have been more wrong about Baltimore in the sense where I go, look, they've been horrible defensively in the secondary. But with the personnel they have, I can't see how they continue to get this bad, how they continue to stay this bad. So wrong. Because Joe Burrow carved them to pieces. Jamar Chase had a historic performance. And I sat there thinking, all right, well, I'll take the L on that. It's not even the spread I'm talking about. It's the secondary. Just a total misread by me. Anyway, this might just be who they are. And who they are right now is terrible in the secondary. I was another spot I got wrong. See, look at me. Russell Wilson, I did not like, and I'm not the only one here. I didn't like Mike Tomlin moving from Fields to Wilson because Fields was helping them win games. Man, I got to trust Mike Tomlin. I love that guy. That's why we bet the Steelers last week coming off of a bye. But yeah, Wilson's been good, man. He has been much better. He has put me to shame. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. He's playing really good football right now. Either way, the Steelers are playing well on top of that. They got a fully complete team outside of, having a guy at the receiver position not named George Pickens. But that game against Washington shouldn't have been competitive. It is what it is. Either way, Baltimore's a good football team, but they have one very clear weakness. Am I wrong to say that the Steelers aren't as good on offense? I know I'm right about that. They're not as good on offense, but they don't really have weaknesses, do they? Like, they don't really have any glaring weaknesses. Maybe the run game stinks. I get that. I just love these AFC North battles, especially with these two teams in specific, going back to being a kid and watching these. I'm sure many of you guys feel the same way. They used to be 10-7 games, though. Now these games in division are 35-33. But getting a Mike Tomlin squad as a 3.5-point divisional home dog, I just can't pass it up. Give me Steelers plus 3.5. Packers at the Bears. Packers laying 6.5, 41.5-point total. This is it. Matt Eberflus's job is gone, right? If the Bears get embarrassed again and can't get any points on the board in a divisional spot at home, Shane Waldron's gone. As I typed this up, because I did it this morning, it said Shane Waldron may not be calling plays this week. Well, Shane Waldron is not going to be calling plays this week because he's out as the Bears offensive coordinator. This is probably my disgusting game of the week. We have one every week. We've done well with those. Last week was the New Orleans Saints. Probably my disgusting play where I bet the Bears are 6.5-point home dogs. I can't imagine anyone in their right minds would want to do it, but it kind of makes me like it even more. Eberflus vowed that there'd be changes following Sunday's pathetic loss at home to New England. And, well, there already have been some. You can't just be that lifeless 2 weeks in a row. Really, however many. This would be 4 weeks in a row and lose your and keep your job. And if they are, it's over for this whole coaching staff. There's just no way I'm betting Chicago to win here. But the Bears still have a solid defense. We've seen that. The defense isn't the problem. They just need to be not the worst team in the league on offense. Ugly game of the week, Bears plus 6.5 against the divisional opponent, Packers. Jaguars and Lions. Let's go, man. All right, so it's funny. I got all these comments. About, you can go through last week's video. Like, when will this guy learn to stop betting the Lions or against the Lions? Another one was, he just keeps betting against the Lions so he can say, I told you so. And I'm like, you know what? Are they right? Like, I know that's not why I do this, obviously. But, like, are they right? Do I not bet against the Lions? And then I went back and looked. I've bet on the Lions more weeks than I've bet against the Lions. Just in recent memory, week 1, we bet the Lions against the Rams. We bet the Lions the following week, and we lost that one against Tampa. We bet the Lions against the Titans. They steamrolled. Remember I said, I don't care if this is 10, it should be 20. We bet the Lions against the Dallas Cowboys. So what are you talking about? We take the spots where we think there's value, and I think there was value on Houston. There was. They should have won that game. But guess what? This week, as crazy as this sounds, I think there's value on the Lions, even as 13-point favorites. Matter of fact, in some spots, you can get them at 12.5 if you want to pay the additional juice. It's a huge number, but do we really care? Like, they can kill you in a million different ways, whether it's defensively like they did against Tennessee, whether it's offensively like they did against Dallas. We bet Detroit is a huge favorite against Tennessee. They won by 100. Should this be under 14? I don't know. I don't know how Jacksonville even gets a backdoor cover in this game, to be honest, outside of the fact that it's football and weird things happen. So if they ended up covering, I wouldn't be like, man, how did that happen? I'd just go, that sucks, and I like the other side. But where does it come from? Mac Jones probably starts again. He started off well and then completely disappeared. I mean, that was horrible. They allowed 9 points and lost to Minnesota last week. Christian Kirk's done for the year, and you can't run the ball against Detroit, and they might not even have Tank Bigsby this week. The Jags defense did show life against the Vikings. Let's be honest. They did. But it's also Sam Darnold, and he might be turning back into a pumpkin. Lions are just loaded offensively, loaded defensively, legitimate Super Bowl contender, and now they get Zadarius Smith making his debut. I mean, come on. It takes an insanely lopsided matchup for me to lay this many points, but there's just no way I'm backing the Jags right now. I don't know. Tell me where you guys, I know where you're going to be in the comments because you guys bet the Lions every week, no matter what. Not all of you, some of you just think that this is no matter what the spread is, we do this. No, but in this case, maybe, maybe the possibility that Lawrence is done for the year makes it seem like he's not going to play this week either. Give me Lions minus 13, and then I'll bet against them next week. You'll tell me this guy never learns. Colts at the Jets. Maybe I don't learn with the Jets. Jets 3.5 point favorites, 44 point total. I did bet the Jets money line yesterday, minus 155. This wasn't because I love them though. This is purely a value spot. The value is now gone. Say whatever you want, but I bet this at minus 155. Has now moved to minus 198 or worse between then and the time of me recording this video across the board on every book. That's the portfolio of that's the beauty of our portfolio EV tool at OddsShopper, by the way. It just picks off all the bad lines in the markets. It calculates the true odds, and we find the sharp sources, pick off all the bad lines, and then you jam them before the line moves totally on the other direction, or in your favor, I should say, and you get massive closing line value. You hammer them before they move. I mean, I'm up $4,200 in NHL. We're a month into the season. I have not watched more than 2 periods of NHL the entirety of the year. Seriously. And if you guys ever did want to join us, the tools they're fantastic, man. It's been a print fest for NBA and NHL, WNBA too, and I don't know a thing about it. I threw the link down there. You're going to love this. Sign up with any of our sportsbook partners and get a free month to OddsShopper Portfolio EV, where you build out portfolios of the bets that are all profitable, because you can see them in the results tool. You'll learn all of this. I won't bore you now, but you can see all of our bets that have been profitable over this season and the past season. Just bet all of those same type of markets and profit. It's a beautiful thing. Click claim offer once you click that link on any of those books. Sign up and then bake the deposit. Once you're done with that, place a bet. The moment that bet settles, the steps are right there. Email us at support@oddshopper.com with your settled bet screenshot and a screenshot of your welcome email, and get a free month of everything Portfolio EV across the board. And if you want to stack them, sign up at 5 sportsbooks. That's 5 free months. 5 free months plus all the bonuses at these books. 21 years old or gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But if you want to try these tools out and really profit with less time, stress, and all of that, this is the way to go. But with the Jets, there's no way I'm betting the money line now, and I can't really fall in love with anything here on the spread. I'd say this: the way it stands, your hands are kind of tied. Like, laying more than a field goal on the Jets feels insanely dangerous. Betting Indy to win is tough given Flacco's recent play, but getting the Colts outside of a field goal is probably worthwhile. Like, that's, I guess, where I'd lean. It's the Achilles heel though of the Jets, the run defense. Sorry. And they can run the football and they can run block as well as anyone. We saw it against Buffalo. Had Flacco not been super careless with the ball, that game looks a lot different. But you consider how poorly Aaron Rodgers has played, how poorly this offense has functioned. I don't want to lay 3.5. Like I said, the money line was a value play and I got massive closing line value. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bet it. Some of those throws from Flacco, though, were horrendous. If it continues, it's just going to set this Jets with a good secondary up and really fortuitous spots with good field position. I lean Indy plus 3.5, but there's a lot better games to bet here for sure. Raiders at the Dolphins. Dolphins laying 7.5. Really great win for them, huh? Seriously, like, that's a really big win. And it was weird because it's not like they were dominant. Go look at the way that game played out. They just locked things down in the red zone, which sometimes that's how you win games. McCarty had what, 6 field goal attempts, made 5 field goals. Rams never got in the end zone. The Rams never did. Miami got back on track though. Big road win. They still basically need to win 7 of their last 8, basically run the table to make a postseason appearance. Doesn't seem likely. It's tough to see them dropping this game at home against the Raiders, though. I guess anything can happen, but the only advantage the Raiders have is that they're coming off of a bye, and the Dolphins are playing on kind of a short week here after playing Monday. But the Raiders don't have any real advantages on either side of the ball. Even their pass rush has been underwhelming this season. And Max Crosby's been playing through an injury. I don't love 7.5, though. I don't. From a DFS perspective, we do a lot of DFS stuff. I love stacking, guys like Tua and Hill and getting Achane in there and maybe even some Jonnu Smith. And we'll probably hammer some Tyreek Hill props. I think we're going to get good value there. We'll talk about that over in Tails in the Discord. But teaser piece, maybe 7 points. You could include the Lions and get them to 6. The Texans against the Cowboys we'll talk about. Get them to a pick 'em. Add in 7-point teaser for the Dolphins. Get it to a half point. I don't hate that. Not a lovely game. Do you really want to lay 7.5 on this Dolphins team whose defense outside of last week has been suspect? I don't. 7-point teaser play makes sense, but don't force it, man. Don't force it. We got 14 games on this slate. Rams at the Patriots, 43-point total. Rams laying 4.5. Huge loss here. A win would have kept them, kept pace with the Cardinals and the Niners in the NFC West. This is not a game they can mess around with at all. And I was wrong about the Dolphins because their desperation was evident. And the Rams felt it for 60 straight minutes. Also, the Dolphins are much better, though, than their 3-6 record would suggest, right? Like, they do have a good secondary. They have good playmakers. But they still had almost 100 less yards, total yards than the Rams. What happened was the Rams mostly locked the offense down for the Dolphins. Stafford still threw for almost 300 yards. Miami, like I said, just clamped down in the red zone or in scoring range. So what I'm saying is the Rams are a much better team than the Patriots, and they're better than they looked last night. It's a must-win spot. You can't drop a game to New England. You can't drop a gimme spot like this. You have to assert dominance. And the Rams offensive line activated 2 guys off the IR on Monday. Now they have another week to prepare, another week to get better. The Pats beat Chicago because Caleb Williams was sacked 9 times. They sacked him 9 times. He's taking a lot of unnecessary sacks. He's not seeing the field well, despite the lack of pass blocking. For anyone that wants to talk about that in the comments, I get it. And Shane Waldron just being a terrible offensive coordinator. But this is still one of those spots where I'm willing to back the road favorite. I think the Rams get back on track. They're a far better team. Yesterday's game, I'm recording this on Tuesday, was a lot closer than it would look on the box score, and the final score. So give me Rams minus 4.5, baby. Browns at the Saints. Saints laying a point. How about that? 44.5 point total. I told you guys last week, we bet the Saints because it's a dead cat bounce, right? And that was very much in play against the Falcons. Yes, we got pushback on this one, but I get it because the Saints are terrible. But I would be totally full of shit if I told you that you have to bet the Saints again this week. Total opposite of a dead cat bounce, isn't it? I mean, you got to flip the script and go Browns here this week. Cleveland's coming off the bye. The O-line continues to get healthier. That's been a huge hindrance to them all season. And along with the secondary getting healthier, they're good back there because they're coming off the bye. And they're plus 100. They're even money on the money line. You might even find it better by the time this video comes out. If that's the case, hit it. The Saints still aren't good. They were just in a perfect position. The level of parity in the NFL is wild. Perfect position to snap that, 7-game losing streak. Divisional home game after the firing of Dennis Allen, and it worked out as planned. But that doesn't mean they just start going on a 7-game win streak. They still have 0 viable pass catchers. We can't forget that. Unless you buy into MVS being good, which, no, he's not. We've seen that. And he had Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. And the Cleveland defense is very good, albeit better at home, but still good and getting healthier. Either way, we got to see this one through to the end. Last week to this week, Browns money line in the Superdome. Let's go. Vikings at the Titans. All right. I hate betting the Vikings this year. I haven't been really because I just can't get them right. They're 6-point favorites, 39.5 point total. Is Sam Darnold beginning to show his true colors, or was that just a bad game and a half that we've seen? He's fine against the Colts. Fine, I guess. 290 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, but still got picked twice. Then last week, he got intercepted 3 times, all on end zone attempts to Justin Jefferson. He did not see the field well. Matter of fact, if they weren't 6-2 in that game, Had they not won that game, not saying he would have been, but had they not gone in that 6-2 and they were kind of struggling, Sam Darnold probably gets benched, and Kevin O'Connell might have honestly put in Nick Mullins. I'm not even joking. And maybe if like Jacksonville was scoring points, but they couldn't either. They finished with 1 touchdown from the first quarter and never sniffed the field or the end zone again. I kind of don't mind the Titans here, but I don't like them enough to bet them. For as bad as Minnesota looked last week, the Titans have looked worse than that every single week. But at home as 6-point dogs, it's a pretty decent sized number against the Vikings who, have been failing to cover the spread recently, at least. And like I told you guys last week, I just can't really go to Minnesota with confidence because I can't get that team right. I'm willing to tell you that because with 14 games, why force it? I'd lean Titans +6, but I'm not betting it right now. Seahawks at 49ers, 6.5-point favorites, 49.5-point total. Not a top game. It's a divisional spot. Seahawks are coming off a bye, which kind of throws a wrench into the works here. But Geno Smith has really struggled against the Niners. He's 0-5 in 5 starts with the Seahawks against the 49ers with losses of 12, 18, 18, 7, and 20. Not great. And that doesn't mean he's a lock to get smoked again. Obviously not, but it's interesting if nothing else. And the return of Christian McCaffrey, huge for the 49ers. Maybe they get Charvarius Ward back on defense. Truly can't imagine what he's going through right now, by the way. The guy lost his almost 2-year-old daughter the other week. Like, if that's, you should just say take as much time as you need. The game of football isn't important right now. But football players are also built differently. So would I be surprised to see him back this week? I wouldn't. And if he is, he's excellent. Neither team looks dominant, though, on the season. Based on how these games have played out in the past, though, I'd lean the San Francisco 49ers -6.5. And Christian McCaffrey's, return to the field is going to make a huge difference going forward. We already know that. I haven't bet this one yet, and I would consider Seattle if for some reason this happens to move through 7. I don't think it will, but if it does, would definitely consider Seattle at like 7.5. Don't see it. Right now, lean 49ers -6.5. Falcons and Broncos. Broncos 2.5-point favorites. How about this team, man? 44-point total, by the way. What a fighting team. You have to love the Broncos. Like, maybe not if you're a fan of a team in the AFC West. Like, other than that, you gotta pull for this team, right? Brutal loss on Sunday. They should have won that game. I'm not saying they should have won it like it wasn't an amazing defensive play by the Chiefs to block the field goal. I just mean they played a better game. The Chiefs, something going. I don't know. Sold the soul? Who knows? Either way, literally everything goes their way, doesn't it? And this loss could, by the way, I'm a huge Andy Reid fan. So as much as people hate the Chiefs, I love Andy. He was with us in Philly for 13 years. It didn't end great, but still, players love him. People love him. He's awesome. So couldn't happen to a better person, I suppose, but it could. Anyway, I actually like Atlanta here. Kind of surprising, right? I think that the public will be all over Denver here, all over them. Don't you? I mean, some of you are going to be, which is fine. But like coming off of that loss to the Saints, people at Falcons kind of a paper tiger, and I don't think they're great. But I also am not just fully bought into the Broncos either. Not to mention, it's just the way things work sometimes, isn't it? Denver put everything on the line in that game, only to lose on a blocked field goal as time expired. I mean, what a horrible, horrible way to lose. But they're home favorites against the Falcons the following week. I get it. People will like the Broncos. You're getting them inside of a field goal, aren't you? But it sure feels like a trap to me. Maybe another gross game of the week. Give me the Falcons +2.5 in Denver, in the altitude. Chiefs at the Bills. What a game. All right, game of the week. Sunday. What is it, 4:25 Eastern? Bills 2.5-point favorites, 45.5-point total. Throw everything you know out the window. You already know what I'm going to say. Nothing else matters. You bet against Mahomes as a big favorite. It's worked out literally every time he's been a 6+ point favorite this season. Every single time we've talked about it on this very specific video, it has covered. The opposing team has covered as a big dog. And guess what? You bet on Mahomes as a dog. It's only happened once this year against San Francisco. They didn't just cover, they won. And every time people are going to go, no, this is where they come crashing down, right? They're undefeated. The Bills are cruising, though. The Bills are a great football team. It's in Buffalo. I totally get it. But this trend has been, and I don't pay too much attention to trends. Really only Mike Tomlin trends and Patrick Mahomes trends are all I care about. Patrick Mahomes trends have been a cash cow for us this year. If you've been with us the whole season, with me the whole season, you already know. We could lose this game and still we're way up betting the Chiefs. Not even a question. Probably our most profitable team all year. That and probably, believe it or not, the Detroit Lions. But yeah, how do you not do it? Mahomes is 11-3 straight up for his career as a dog. He's 12-1-1 as a dog in his career against the spread. Yeah, it feels like a spot clearly where the Chiefs fail, where they fall, where they lose, but this always looks like a spot where they lose, right? And then afterwards we go, shouldn't have bet against Mahomes as a dog. So you know what we got to do. Chiefs money line plus 114, or if you want to grab the plus 2.5 at minus 110 on DraftKings, I get that too. I'm leaning money line here at plus 114. Bengals at the Chargers. Chargers 1-point favorites, 47-point total. I've been a really big fan of the Chargers Sunday Night Football, by the way, since Jim Harbaugh took over. Before the season started, love this team. Bet their alt win total, and they had a really easy schedule. There's no doubt. That's why we bet it. But they simply find ways to win, and you got to appreciate that. But this is the spot against Cincinnati that I think is going to be their biggest challenge yet. Yes, I think this is a bigger challenge than the Chiefs matchup they had in Week 4, where Rashee Rice got hurt early in the game, and they went down after a handful of snaps. They're allowing 12.4 points per game, okay? 12.4 points per game. And their offense is starting to click. They've also faced some really terrible offenses. Another thing, Joe Burrow has been arguably the best quarterback in the league this year. Yet his defense has been a complete sieve. It's just a fascinating matchup because one team's clearly more talented on offense, no question. The other has been locking things down on defense. And it's a true must-win game for Cincinnati. This is the spot where I think they come in and steal one. They essentially need to run the table, which isn't out of the question because we've seen what a mid to late season Joe Burrow is capable of doing. Looks like they could get both T. Higgins and Orlando Brown back. That's huge. Give me the Bengals, money line, even money on FanDuel. By the way, I might sprinkle on Burrow MVP at plus 3,000, 30-1 on FanDuel. I kind of like that because let's just say they run the table and make the playoffs. And I looked at their schedule. It's actually doable. Could be tough, but it's actually doable. With how Burrow's played, I think those odds would shrink to nothing. So I'm going to sprinkle. You don't need to put a lot at all at plus 3,000 to get a nice little profit. And otherwise, you wash your hands. You go, I forgot I even had that bet. You'll never even remember. But when that cash hits your account, if he wins, you'll go, oh, shit, I forgot. I had Burrow MVP. Anyway, let's wrap this one up. Houston Texans, Cowboys, Texans 7-point favorites, 42-point total. I'll have a full video on this on Monday. Stay tuned. Again, props, more in-depth analysis on the sides, touchdowns, long shots, all that stuff. But if you saw the Cowboys on Sunday, you'd know they have nothing left. Dak Prescott's done for the year. They have zero answers at quarterback between Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. Maybe they figure things out this week. I don't know. But Mike McDaniel's time seems to be very limited. And it's just, I don't know, nothing but torture for Cowboys fans. As an Eagles fan, I actually still feel for you guys. But get this, the Cowboys, that's not true, have a minus 93-point differential at home this season. Minus 93. Nico Collins is almost definitely going to be back for Houston. The Texans are coming off a two-game slide where they should have beat Detroit at home. Like I said, I'll have more on this game, but right now, Texans -7. If you wanted to include it in that teaser we talked about earlier, that makes sense too. But aside from that, I appreciate you guys watching. As always, sticking through this entire video. I know it can be long, but I try and give you as much information as possible. And as always, you want to come join us with the Portfolio EV tools, transform the way you bet. Use that link. Just sign up for any of those books, as many as you want, and get a free month of the tools, $100 value for every single one. Just follow those steps, click the claim offer, and you're in business. Appreciate you guys. Catch you back here for the next one. Peace.